What is up, everybody? It's Matt Johnson. We are back with another episode of Real Estate Uncensored. This is the place where you get actionable ideas, insight, and inspiration to turn your real estate career into a life of freedom. Man, we've got an open concept, open floor plan today. We have nothing. We have no guest on the agenda. We are taking questions from the Lead Gen Scripts and Objections Facebook group. We'll take your questions live. If you have them, please put them in the comments here below. Let us know that you are excited for the show today. Make sure to hit that heart and like button if you're with us here on Facebook. And if not, if you're listening or watching to this afterwards, make sure to just hit us up, subscribe to the show, give us a comment on YouTube, tell us what you think, give us any feedback. Make sure to like and subscribe to the show on iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, all that good stuff. My partner, the Junior Grandmaster, is here in the co-pilot seat where you so belong. Greg McDaniel,
Yes.
what's up today?
Yes, I do belong here, Matt Johnson. Because it's awesome. You know, I love getting my haters. I had a lady write to me the other day. Let me see if I still have that pulled up, Matt. I'll actually read this out verbatim so that I can get an idea about this. This individual says, Matt, please just do a show on your own so us professional agents can follow you minus the crude, offensive, unprofessional language. I could actually listen to quotes and recommend, end of quotes, in the presence of my effing grandmother. To quote Greg. Quote. And there's no fucking way I'm ever going to stop saying fuck. So there's that.
That's right.
End of fucking story.
Greg, you are now henceforth fired from the podcast.
Moving on, good sir.
That's right. Moving on. Next. All right. Well, let's take a question. What I find that endlessly hilarious, and I did call it. I came up with the name Real Estate Uncensored for the podcast because I knew that any podcast with Greg was going to be, number one, about real estate, and number two, very uncensored. I don't know how to make it any clearer than other than just saying the F word in the title of the show.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, Gina, Jeff, Paul, they're all getting a kick out of that right now. That's freaking awesome. You guys are hilarious.
All right, well, let's take a question. So this is a good one. This popped up on the Lead Gen Scripts and Objections group today. William Harris says, what's the best response at a listing appointment when the seller feels ready to sell, but they're not set on where they want to move to? So there's a delay in putting their home up on the market. Greg, how would you deal with that situation?
Sorry, I'm reading all the questions, all the responses right now. You guys are epically awesome. Here's Mike Hallbeck. Hard to believe Greg is a former pastor.
That's because it wasn't Greg. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, no kidding. Okay, Matt, restructure it again. Say it again. Sorry, I'm getting carried away. It's awesome.
So William Harris says, what's the best response at a listing appointment? The seller feels that they are ready to sell, but they're not set on where they want to move to. So there's a delay in putting his home up on the market.
You want to be proactive. You want to go out there and immediately want to figure out where they're going to be making a move to, in town or out of town. If they're out of town, you need to go hit your network up. So if I was you guys, go to like Lead Gen Scripts and Objections, type in, hey, I got a people moving to Omaha, Nebraska. Who is the best agent in Omaha, Nebraska? Please let me know. Thank you very much. I'm just going to keep doing this because it drives you nuts. Thank you very much.
Please don't.
But it is that's definitely what I would do. If it was in town immediately, I would go to them and say, hey, Matt, Julie, you're three of these little wood denting, insulin sucking, dangerously close to death babies. Have you seen anything that you like that's on a solid slab foundation with steel reinforcements? Because good Lord's foundation, subfloors will not work for your family. New construction, I think, is going to be your only option at that point, sir, with wide hallways.
All right, are you done now?
Yes, I am.
We've established my kids are fat. All right, go ahead.
Well, man, you gotta give me, dude. Look, you can't blame me. You have to blame the organic carrot juice, okay? And carrot juice. Yeah.
So you guys are in trouble. Greg had his carrot juice today. That means he's going to be on point, and the insults will fly.
Yes, they will. But I would actually, as soon as you find out if they're in areas that they like, go over aggressively, not in a bad way, but in a good way. Go attack those neighborhoods. Calls, doors, mailers, Facebook messages going, hey, look, I got a family that's actively trying to buy in your exact neighborhood. This is what their requirements are. They need a 4-bed, 2.5-bath minimum, single story, preferable this size of lot, yada, lay it out. Never use last names. Never use any information that can be disclosed who they are. Never talk about children without getting the permission of your buyers first. Say, hey, got 3 little fatties that need a large yard to roam in. So
Three little fatties need some room to roam.
Three little fatties need some room to exercise. Maybe like one of those exercise wheels for horses. You kind of hook them up to it and just let them walk in circles. So enough room for that. Have you ever seen those? I was raised on a ranch. You know, you don't have to get outside. I mean,
it's not a bad idea. I like that. All right. So, well, and we were talking about this when we were doing the training today with the gals over Prime Seller Leads for their ISA team. We're talking about like how to kind of draw some information out of the homeowner, and questions will come up like that where it's like, well, what do you say when they say this? And you've made the point several times, Greg, that you cannot like push someone out of a home. Like they may have registered to get a home value, or maybe they didn't, or they don't remember doing it. But you're on the phone with somebody, or in this case, they're in a listing appointment, and there's a difference between an objection and a condition. Can you share a little bit about that, Greg?
Yeah, so the objection, guys, is something they're having an issue with it, but the condition that they can't move anywhere, so they don't know where they can go. You can't push them out of the house with a condition. An objection you can handle with objection handlers and everything else. You can work your evil real estate voodoo magic and be able to just presto chingo, you're out of the house. But a condition is a requirement of sale. So what I would highly recommend is that whatever that condition is, solve and cure that condition, and then allow them to move forward. What are you laughing at?
Brian Casella is watching. He says, both of your names on the cast are Matt Johnson. Epic. Thank you, Greg. I appreciate you making sure that my name are in lights twice.
Not anymore.
Oh, man. That's fantastic. And Mike Holbrook has a great tip for you, Greg. He says, here's a coaching tip, Greg. If you pour coconut oil into your kale, it makes it easier to scrape it in the trash. Oh, man, Mike Holbrook, that is awesome. That is the best comment I think we might have ever gotten in the history of doing Facebook Live. That was fantastic. Coconut oil on your kale, easier to slide into the trash, which is exactly where fresh kale goes. You are 100% right. Unless you're blending that and putting it into a shake, which is crowded out with strawberries, bananas, and blueberries, you are exactly right. All right. Yeah, there's a big difference between a condition and an objection. And if someone if the thing is like you can't create motive, you can create urgency. Like if someone has a genuine motivation, but they don't understand the market enough to know what the reality of their choices are, you can create motivation by telling them the truth. Like, hey, listen, you may want to put your home up on the market, let's say in late spring, because you think that's the best time. But in order to do that, your best time is actually February, which is before all those people that are thinking the exact same thing do that same thing. So we should start moving now. Like if it's, you can like create that kind of urgency by showing them what they actually need to do to hit what they say their goals are. If they don't know what their goals are, that's when it's really tough. Like that might be a condition, because if they don't know, then they don't really have any real motivation. If they think they're ready to sell, but they don't know where they're going to, I don't even know what situation of life that is, other than they're just looking to get out of the house they're in and into something else. But if they don't know where that is, then there's obviously not a real life situation that's causing that urgency. Like my parents are that way. They'd like to move. All the kids are out of the house. They're empty nesters. They'll probably they don't necessarily need to downsize, but they need to get from a split entry to a single level, so that, their parents and stuff like that can potentially move around, or they can move around as they get into their advanced years, and not have to go up and down stairs. It's weird to say that, right? Yeah, I mean, you're a little older than I am, but my parents are in their 50s. I can't think of them like hobbling around like with a walker with the tennis ball knobs on them. But that they're thinking ahead, and good on them. But there's nothing that's going to create that urgency, because they don't have to move. They don't have to move this year. They don't have to move in 5 years. You cannot create that. You can only uncover whether it's a condition or it's an objection. And if it's an objection, you can deal with it with the right language. If it's a condition, there's not necessarily a lot that you can do about that.
No, 100% right. I mean, right now we have a client that we have on the market, and they want to net a certain amount of money out from the sale of the home. Might be a little bit aggressive, just a little bit aggressive. Oh God, I can't wait to hear what this is going to be about. But he has an objection. He doesn't have a condition for what he needs, and the market is starting to tell us where this property is going to lie. So I'm handling his objections to get him to be more realistic about where we need to land on price versus just the condition of getting him out of the home. Because we already handled the condition. Too much stuff, thinning the house out, where they're going to go next. We handle all those. Now it's just the objection of, I want to make X, well, you might make Y. Let's figure out the reality of it and move on and what's best for the client. So Yeah. Now, Matt, that I'm done talking about that, I want to know why you were, cackling like a schoolgirl in the corner, go.
Well, Stefan says, "F you, Matt. I'm going to be 50," which is true. But first of all, guys, Stefan does not look like he's 50. He's all tatted up. He's the real estate rock star of Paso Robles. Johnson can be my son. That is true. If you got started early, I am older than I look. But one thing I wanted to point out, guys, there's a great question that'll take us in a different direction. Philip, this is an amazing question, and I want to cover that in a second. But Davi, I wanted to get to your question first, since it's a little bit more tactical. It says, I'm working with a buyer who's very interested in the neighborhood. However, I've shown them everything on the MLS, and I'm just reaching out to everyone else in the neighborhood to see if they might be thinking of selling, but haven't taken the jump yet. Let's see. So I'm looking for the question there, Davi. Working with a buyer who's very interested in your neighborhood. However, I've shown them everything on the MLS. I'm just reaching out to everyone in the neighborhood to see if they might be thinking of selling, but haven't taken the jump yet. That's a good script. I think he's giving us a script for the situation where, Greg, you were talking about like delivering like a buyer need type of phone call. You could also deliver it as a Facebook ad. That is a pretty decent script for that. Greg, I like how you tend to personalize it, not with last names, but with, just details that personalize people, and I've been reading, there's a great book called Hypnotic Writing. Yeah. It's about copywriting, marketing and sales. So he's just talking about how important it is to tell people an entertaining and compelling story. Stories are the things that grab people's attention and are memorable. Long after the quote or long after the principle that you're trying to get across has been forgotten, the story a lot of time will stick. A great example of that is a story that I shared at the event in LA last Tuesday about the guy who went back on his way into the airport to pick up his towel that he left on the bathroom floor. That story sticks in my head probably 15 years after I heard it for the first time, not just because I listened to those cassette tapes on repeat, but because it's a story. It's not just a principle. So Greg, you're really good at telling stories to entice people to respond to you.
Yeah, you got to tell a story. I mean, that's what our ancestors did, our great ancestors, what humans have done all through the centuries. They sat around, told stories about, what to be aware of, what to be careful of, what to look forward to. They always referenced it back to the story. And if you can storyfy it and make it into something that is relatable to them on an emotional level, then they're more apt to pay attention to you, because they start picking up on, oh, hey, that's kind of like me, or hey, that looks like or sounds like so and so, or such and such situation that I went through. Like, for an example, and what Matt is referencing is that I just did it without even really thinking about it, honestly, is I just started telling a story about one of my buyers. I said, hey, I'm Greg McDaniel with the McDaniel Callahan team, calling into this area because I have a buyer, young family. They got a 3-month-old little daughter looking to get into the school sooner than later, and they're looking for something they can fix up. You guys happen to know anyone who might be thinking of selling, or maybe yourself that might have a project like that? And it's the 3-year-old daughter part that humanizes it. I could have said, yeah, they have a daughter, or they have kids. That's like, there's no personal touch to it. There's no relatable aspect of that story. Because I could say, I'm moving into the area and I want to buy a house. Great. Or I could say, I'm moving back into the area. It's where I grew up. It's my childhood dream to come back and own a home here in the area. I've been, serving in the military for the last 15 years, and now I've saved up enough money to sit down roots with my young wife and our 2 twin baby boys. That's a freaking story. Okay. And people are like, oh, okay, there's the military, there's the young family, there's the twins, there's coming back home. I mean, there's so many things people can relate to on that. And that's some of the things that I do when I do calls, Matt, is like, and that's why, Josh over at PSL, Prime Seller, which, by the way, dude, I'm just going to tell you that this isn't meant to be a plug, but it's going to be. Dude, those girls have come so far. They are so awesome. They are so willing to learn. Haley is one of the ones I've worked with the most. Dude, she's done a 180 from where she was. She's just, if you ever watch this, knuckles to you, girl. But the thing is that when Josh hired us, he said, dude, the reason I want to hire you guys is because I see what you do is like along the calls I did before he hired us. I was talking to a lady out of Maine. Dude, I went completely off script and started talking to her about lobster and seafood and restaurants. And I bonded with her. She's like, oh, yeah, dude, nowhere else in the country can you find lobster like this. I mean, you can get lobster in any country, in any state, but it's not like this. It's not coming out of the super crisp cold water water to plate. And I'm like, yeah, it's amazing. You crack it open. I've only been there once, but it was amazing. I sat outside on this pier. It was unbelievable. Then she's like, yeah, I know the place you're talking about. And so we bonded. I have no fucking clue what I was talking about. But I mean, I just started relating myself.
Of course you don't. Of course you don't. God, Greg.
But you know what? It got her to bond with us, and she's going to keep me in mind for future buyers and sellers. So if you guys can, what I would encourage you to do is, no matter what, is to stop trying to stick to a script. Use a script as a backbone. It's going to make you stand up straight. It's going to keep you going in one direction. But you know what? Let it like a backbone. There's ribs, right? There's off spurts. It's okay to go off script or go off book for a minute, but bring it back and keep going up one direction. Make sure that you're going to be able to get to the end that you want to do, and then make sure you ask for the business. Have a conversation, build a relationship, and be a human effing being. How hard is that? You know, stop being a salesperson. People fucking hate salespeople. That means, that's right, they hate you. They hate me. Not so much Matt, because he's not a salesperson. But the rest of us, they don't like, because we're trying to sell them something. But if you build a relationship and they want to buy from you, not being sold from you, that's a totally different story right there.
Well, let's talk about, there's two questions I want to get to in a second about listing, and then that really good question from Philip. But before we go there, let's talk about language for a second, because there are certain buzzwords, and I don't know if you picked it out with the gal that we were working with from PSL this morning, but as soon as she mentioned a couple of those buzzwords, those are things that she would never say in a million years in real life.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, like the property listed at, in regards to, like, just there's key phrases and buzzwords like that. There is absolutely no reason to use that type of terminology. That adds no value at all to a conversation. It puts distance between you, and it doesn't build your credibility. All it does is it's a dead giveaway that this is a sales conversation, and immediately sets the wrong frame for what you want to get out of the phone call, especially like with the types of calls they're making. And guys, you guys are a lot of times in the same position. You're not necessarily selling something over the phone. All you're selling somebody on is probably getting together with you. There's no risk, there's no obligation for them other than the fact that you might waste their time. But if you're a reasonable human being, you shouldn't be doing that anyway. Yeah, so let's talk about language for a little bit. The whole, like, when you use a script, Greg, your script is just a slightly formalized or a writing down of one of the 50,000 variations of something that you say anyway. And believe me, guys, I've tried, like, in the course of trying to train these prime seller leads sales agents, Greg, I have, every single time you deliver a script, I have to revise the documents in their file because it's different. So you really do use the script as a backbone. It really is just a jumping off point. But one of the things I like about your approach and the way that you disarm people is that you don't use those buzzwords. Like, you talk like you and I are talking right now is exactly how you talk with a prospect. You're not adding words like in regards to, or, hey, you know, I'm calling about in regards to the property listed at 123 Smith Street. Like, you would never, ever say that to somebody on the phone.
No, not at all. Because, like you said, Matt, it is a trigger. It's a fear trigger, which gets let off in the other person's brain. Because when it comes to language, Matt, there are little triggers in there that if you say those magic words, immediately sales, immediately defense, immediately be on guard. And people get trained to say them because they're trying to be professional.
Right.
Tighten up that tie, Johnson. And I want to see those shoes look shiny. It's like, oh, God, no. You know, why don't we just go ahead and why don't we just be you? Guys, that's what people are going to buy. I mean, that's what they want to be around. That's the most important thing. And
create a video series where you talk about your market, write a blog where you talk about your market, deliver useful, helpful real estate information in another way, and constantly be learning and then sharing what you're learning. That will give you that sense of credibility. And then you won't have to use words like that. You can be yourself. I think one of the things that we pointed out with the gal today with prime seller leads is, hey, would you ask the question that way? What if your mom gave you that same thing, like, hey, we're moving because so-and-so got a job transfer? You wouldn't gloss right over that and go, oh, okay, well, what's your time frame for moving? Like, you would go down the rabbit hole with them and you say, oh, well, that's awesome. Like, tell me what's the deal with the job transfer? Like, how did that come about? Where is it? Like, there's little things like that people don't think about, where people will either give them a response or they'll give them an opening to have like a very natural conversation and build that bond with people, and they'll skip right over it because they're thinking they have to be professional.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they really do, and that's the complete opposite, guys. What I'm doing is Matt was talking about doing some videos into your local marketplaces where you can start feeling like you have credibility and everything else. I just put in 3 different links. One's Neighborhood Scout, one's Home Snap, and one is Realty Times. Guys, go in and take a look at these different links. They're all going to be uniquely useful for different types of videos you want to do. So if you parachuted into, if I was going to go sell homes in I don't know, Las Vegas. I don't know shit about Las Vegas, except for the Strip, and that's about it. But if I was going to go live there, well, I need to know about the different neighborhoods. So I go to neighborhoodscout.com, start learning, the idiosyncrasies of the little nuances of those sub marketplaces and the master markets, and then start speaking with confidence because I've read something with some good stats. Home Snap's going to give you an opportunity to understand what the market's doing in the last 30 days. I've always said it before, it's a sword, not a scalpel. And you're going to be able to really hit the ground running, as well as go out and start talking and walking and visiting the local neighborhoods. I mean, you can get market confidence, Matt. I would say market confidence to a conversational level within 30 days. If you become a student of the marketplace and really jump into it and study it like a book. Spend 2 to 3 hours a day studying different idiosyncrasies. Go talk to a senior agent in the area and, figure out what's going on. Take them to lunch and, find out what neighborhoods are good, bad, what neighborhoods are both dog and gun neighborhoods, because you have to bring the dog and the gun to get the rent.
You got to arm the dog with a gun to defend against other dogs.
It's horrible turf wars down there, man.
That's right.
Never
man alive. That's right. You got to spray paint your dog. You can't be caught wearing black.
Those Doberman pinchers are now going red.
That's right.
It was nuts, player.
That's right. All right. Well, let's cover this question because I want to get into this, guys. Before we get into that, go to getnowbusiness.com. We put up the new dates for July. So we start the next class on July 10th, and the rest of the 3 classes will be the 17th, 24th, and 31st to round out the rest of that class. That is where you will learn how to get now business, which we define as less than 90 days. And that is by strategically going after the people who are most likely to either do business with you right now or refer you to someone that can. So guys, if you are struggling to attract clients that are ready to do something, this is the course for you. So getnowbusiness.com. So Philip Mallon, this is the question that I wanted to get to.
Actually, hold on. The one thing I want to clarify with that is, Matt, is the fact that on the Get Now Business class, guys, we're not going to ask you to do role playing together unless you want to. Matt and I are going to role play this out together. So you guys can watch how we do it, and then you can take it and rehearse it in the privacy of your own home. And then as you gain confidence, Matt and I are going to start another course that we're going to be doing a live Q&A on a weekly basis for a flat fee every week, and you guys can come in and do role plays with us there after you feel confident in these things. So we want everyone to be sure that we want you guys to be successful, and we didn't want to put anyone on the spotlight, when you weren't ready to be out there. So come hang out with us, guys. Go check the link. Let's make it happen. Let's make you some money, honey.
That's right. All right. So Philip Mallon says, what's up, guys? Do you guys think the end game of your business is to be as big as possible, or is it okay to just be big enough to do what you need to do and be comfortable?
Wait, what's this question? Do we have to be too big, or?
No. Do you guys think the end game of your business is to be as big as possible, or be big enough to do what you need to do and be comfortable?
It's really, that comes down to a personal choice. I mean, my goal would be to take over the world. I've always told everybody I want to be the Coca-Cola of real estate in the Bay Area. You think real estate, you think McDaniel Callahan. You don't think of any other motherfucker. You just think of us. Matt's like, I'm good with X, Y, and Z about money a year. And I'm like, fuck that. A year? I want to make that a month. And then times it by 2. And then times it by 10. I want to be as big as humanly possible. Matt wants to be more comfortable, but that is going to come down to you. But the cool thing is that whatever decision you come to, that's the perfect decision for you. So Matt, Matt doesn't want to take over the world like I do, but I don't want to just be comfortable. So we have come to a nice blend in our business partnership where we'll take over the world and we will forget ever being comfortable. So that's a good blend for us.
Oh my God. Well, here's my perspective on it, is that I want to achieve my highest potential. Right? So I always want to be pushing myself and always will push myself to hit my highest potential. However, I have potential in areas that are outside the business. That means that I cannot devote 24 hours a day to just pursuing my potential in business, because if I do that, it will take away from the thing that I'm really, really irreplaceable at, which is music and some of the other stuff that I can do. So I have to have a blend of both, because if I don't make music, I will blow my head off. That's the bottom line. So you know what I'm saying? So I have to blend that. So, but here's the deal. So Philip, my perspective on it is this. And I agree fully. Guys, if you know anybody familiar with the guys that develop Basecamp, they're a company they were called 37 Signals. They then changed their name to Basecamp. They've written some great books like Rework, which is an amazing book that you guys should go immediately and buy. It's very, very simple and short read, and the stuff in there is absolutely life-changing. I've been heavily influenced by what they have to say, because their perspective on it is this. And they've been through the whole rat race. They've built a business that they could have gone the venture capital route and tried to blow up the world and been huge. And so they've been through, and all of their friends have gone through the whole venture capital Silicon Valley route, sold their soul to venture capital, and been spit out the underbelly of that whole machine. Oof. In the course of trying to take over the world. So their perspective on it is, different people have businesses within them that are the right size for them, and your goal should be to get there. But that doesn't mean that you necessarily have to build something that takes over the world. But you do want to dominate your niche, but that your niche doesn't have to be the entire planet, right? Mm-hmm. So it's about picking the right category. But yes, once you get that category picked, you absolutely want to dominate within that category, because we know from Chris Lockhead, the category king takes 76% of the economics of any category. So pick your category carefully. If you want to build something that changes the world, absolutely go for it. Get venture capital, pour the time, pour 100 hours a week into it and go build it, and you may pull it off. But if you have a family and your priorities are different, then you may not want to go that route, but still you want to dominate whatever category that you go after. So Greg, I have, with what we're building here, we want to dominate our category. We want to dominate the category of sales and marketing training for the rest of us, right? The people that are not doing traditional coaching, the people that are left behind by traditional coaching, that's our audience. We want to dominate that audience, right? Yeah. We don't want to be second. We don't want to be third. We want to dominate that audience. But that doesn't mean we necessarily need to dominate everyone else's audience too. Right. So I think that's where the balance is. You want to dominate, but you want to choose your category carefully so that the category you dominate is the one that you want to be in and is the right thing for you. And then build the best business behind that will deliver the best possible product and experience to help you dominate your category.
Yeah, and I think domination is an absolute essential. A lot of people think that domination is a negative. There's a negative connotation in regards to domination, but there's really not. It's just being the best of your trade craft that you can possibly be in the niche that you're in. And if your niche is Omaha, Nebraska, then that's your niche. If your niche is just new home buyers, then that's your niche, whatever it is. But dominate and go deep, and never, ever apologize for being an absolute category king, because the world needs more people that are like that. People need to be hyper focused in regards to a certain actions or a certain business plan, instead of being, jack of all trades, master of none. I have been, for the majority of my life, was a jack of all trades. I would do anything, right? Matt's, kind of refined me down. Yes, I am giving you a compliment, so you better fucking be thankful this is recorded.
Hang on, I'm sitting down. I'm gonna brace myself. All right, hang on. I'm gonna store your compliment up like a squirrel for the dry, sarcastic month.
For the cold winters of sarcasm. But Matt has helped me really.
Hang on. I'm just going to let it wash over me. Hang on. Go ahead.
Stop it. So, God damn it. Now you made me forget what I was going to say.
Well, it was something nice about me. Come on. You can't forget it now.
It was something, Matt.
How have I refined you?
I'm talking. It's adult time. Okay, so really kind of refine down, because I always want to do everything. And Matt and I are in our business partnership. We're learning a little bit of yin, a little bit of yang. How to put it together. Because I push Matt. Matt brings me back down to planet Earth, back to our orbit, instead of going into a whole other planetary cluster of planets. I'm like, woohoo, Matt, let's go this direction. He's like, no, stay put. Come here, back down here. All right, let's keep working. Now, put one step in front of the other. Good job. But it's when you find a partnership and you learn about yourself and you're able to go very, very big, but very, very niche, that is where you're going to explode in value to the people that are in that niche. So, Matt, we want to absolute dominate. Like you said, we want to dominate the people that are left by the wayside in the wash of big time coaching, the people that are left behind because they can't afford the big time coaches. We're going to step in and we're going to pick all y'all's up and we're going to bring you to a local area and we're going to give you guys all the knowledge so you can go crush those motherfuckers who just stepped on you, who wouldn't let you be in their classes. We're going to give you all the knowledge for free.
That's right. Maybe not all of it for free. I don't know if we can pull quite that off, but we can give you a lot of it. Okay. So let's see. There was one thing I wanted to say about that. Oh, which is 10x action. So guys, if you haven't already, go get the audiobook or the printed book of 10x by Grant Cardone, because that really is, to me, like the right mentality to have when it comes to this kind of stuff. It's not about whether you have to build the biggest, but you do want to be the best and you do want to dominate your market. And the way that you dominate is by not only setting 10x goals, but then you better be prepared to take 10x action. And Greg, that's where I try to rein you in. I don't mind the big thinking. I love the big thinking, and I'm all about, making plans for world domination. What I don't like is planning and doing a lot of like the mental masturbation thing for world domination, but then not taking and being willing to follow through on the 10x action that would actually get you there, because it's easier to do other things that we're already doing. And so that's where you and I bonk heads sometimes. Is I love the big thinking, but it has to translate into big action.
Well, big action is not the problem. But so we had a question here. Damn it, I go back down to, I think Veronica or someone was asking where to find a real estate coach. Since you're a newbie, just it depends on what kind of coach you're looking for. In all honesty, and it's not mean to be egotistical, just watch this podcast really from start to finish, every single episode, and you'll have more value out of the people we bring on this show than you could ever pay for. I mean, there's absolutely no reason to go pay for it if you're a newbie and cash might be a little bit tight. You don't know which way to turn. Everybody's gonna have a shiny button, shiny new whistle. Hey, look over here, check this out. I got this, dude. Just watch the show for free. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest challenges that people have is endless choice. Mm-hmm. They have it in choices of real estate coaches, but that's really a manifestation of the bigger problem that agents have, which is they have unlimited choice in terms of what they can do to build their business, because it really is your own business. And I think a lot of people are used to it. Either they're coming from school where they were told what to do, or they're coming into it as a former employee where they were told what to do. They were plugged into a system and essentially told, like, hey, here's the track. I was thinking about this morning. Because we got some feedback from guys that have been listening to the show, and they're also big fans of Josh Smith and the boot camp that he offers and stuff like that. And one of the things that they both liked and disliked was the fact that, like in Joshua Smith's boot camp, like it's essentially like the track is laid out for you. Like you're a train, and they're essentially laying the track out for you and just saying, hey, do this. The problem is a lot of us got into real estate specifically because we don't want to be told what to do. We don't want the track to be laid out in front of us. We want to lay the track ourselves. Nothing wrong with that. But guys, here's one of the biggest values of a real estate coach: forcing you to decide. It's not that one way is necessarily better than the other, although coaches can help you kind of make that decision on what's the best thing. But honestly, you'd be better off, rather than spending all of your time thinking about what real estate coach to hire, think about what's the one thing that I'm best at that I can do to draw in more clients, and just decide to focus on that, because that's probably the biggest value a new real estate coach would be to you as a new agent, is just to get you to, hey, like, you've got all this stuff up in the clouds that you can kind of pick from. Let's pick one thing, and they'll help you decide on that one thing. Well, guess what? You can do that by yourself.
Yeah, and I completely agree with AJ. Of course, you should know this. This is very simple. I'm the brain, Matt's Pinky. I mean, if we're going to, what are we going to do tonight, Pinky Brain? We're going to try to take over the world.
What are we going to do tonight, Brian?
What we do every night? Try to take over the world. I swear to God, dude, we have more fun just talking to ourselves.
Yes, we do. I don't even care if anybody else shows up. I appreciate that you do, but I don't care.
Because he's not going to laugh our asses off talking about something stupid. And then Miss K, she's asking me here, what is the best circle prospecting system that I use? AJ got a kick out of that. And I use MoJoSells.com. Mojo, the triple line dialer, guys. Helps me push through about 150 to 200 calls an hour, so I can really crush through this thing. And it costs about 164 or 164 bucks a month, and that's with all the data you can get for 25 bucks a month, and then the triple line dialer for 139 or 100 and whatever it is. But it's I mean, if you can commit to plopping your ass into the seat for a minimum of an hour to 2 to 3 hours a day. I mean, Stefan will attest to this. The guy's an absolute, evil ninja genius when it comes to doing his calls, because he does it in his own style, and he's recently got 3 listings from it alone. And so he started out with nothing on the listing side. So it just takes time to do it. But that's what I use for circle prospecting. You can also load up like your database. You can load up a bunch of other stuff in there, calling lists, and you can call through people and really, really do a lot of good. I mean, I know I talked about it last time. I epically foobarred, dude. I epically foobarred. $300,000 on average I left on the table this year because I did not go do follow-up. So circle prospecting, one thing. The follow-up is where the money is. And I lost sight of that because I was having so much fun with you guys, doing the calls. It reminds me, guys, if you guys have any referrals for the Bay Area, the East Bay, the San Francisco East Bay, do send them to me, guys. I would love to work your referrals with my team, the McDaniel Callahan team. That would be an awesome thing. So private message me if you have anything ever coming over this direction. I got people all over the Bay that I can connect you with.
And speaking of referrals, guys, we want you guys to get to know each other too. So put the location, the city that you work in, that you would like to receive referrals from, so that we can get to know you and others can keep you in mind if they're watching the same Facebook Live, so they can keep you in mind for referrals. So let's see. Zaya says, what do you think about Z-Buyer? Jason Morris talks about it a lot. I wonder what you think. Greg, have you used Z-Buyer a lot?
I haven't, man. I have not. I have never used the Z-Buyer. I'm connected with prime seller leads, and Josh turned the spigot on for me over there, and good Lord, I got like 15 or 20 leads in the last 2 days. I'm like, oh Christ, got a problem. I got too many leads now. Josh, turn it off. Josh, turn it off.
Yes, there is such a thing as too many leads, guys.
Yeah. AJ likes it. Brad, Portland, Oregon. What up, Portland? Nashville, Melissa. What is up, girlfriend? Dude, I love it when you guys tell us where you're from. That's super fun. We love connecting with all y'all peoples.
Yeah. And speaking, so Brad, you're up in Portland. I just booked, or I'm in the process of booking Cody Gibson, who's up there in Portland. He's one of the dominant team leaders for KW. I just got him. He's going to be on the team building podcast. So to see that coming out in the next couple of weeks. Austin, Kansas City, Missouri. That is a few hours away from my hometown in Omaha. And Paul says, I may just move to the Bay Area to pick up what Greg drops.
Thank you, Paul.
Hopefully you're referring to listings, buyer leads, and so forth. Anyway.
Westchester, what up? Dude, that's awesome. We got Florida up in the house, West Palm Beach, Mike. Dude, we love all you guys. Do you guys know that we're actually, Matt and I are going to be working with Brian Casella, Glenn Twiddle, Naomi, and we're putting together right now, we're actively putting together just a rock star roster of speakers. We're going to probably do about 4 gigs a year, guys, but they're going to be big gigs, 1,000, 4,000 people in butts and seats. We're employing some of the best in the business. So if you guys like LiveLeap, Andrew, the CEO of LiveLeap, is going to help us build an amazing sales funnels. And you guys got to go. Okay, if you're in a group, go click on the syndicated by LiveLeap button right there. And you can do a free trial, and there's a giveaway in there for like a video book as well on how to do video really well. But he's going to be doing all of our video stuff and helping getting the word out. But we're going to have like A-list celebrities, and we're going to have just an amazing thing that Stefan came up with, which I'm not going to talk about, but it's going to be something that you've never ever experienced at a real estate convention ever before in your life. And when you see what we're putting together, there will be jaws hitting the ground. We have EMTs on site to reattach jaws. Don't worry.
Tom Caffarella says, "Are you guys live every day?" No, but it feels like it. We are live 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. David Browning says, "I met your buddy Aaron Wittenstein this morning. Is starting up at his KW brokerage, which that makes sense. You're up in White Plains, Westchester. Awesome, David. Great to have you there. I'm sure Aaron will not be a resource for you because he's got his door closed and locked because he's lead generating. All right, just thought I'd throw that out there. Let's take another couple questions here. This is from Nancy Douglas on the lead gen scripts objections page. She says, I've been cultivating these prospective sellers since October. I live around the corner, so we've met a few times already, and they're finally ready to list. The problem is that when they contacted USAA about getting qualified for their new home, USAA told them that if they listed their current home with preferred agents, they'll get some type of discount. So now all of a sudden I'm competing with them. I'm meeting with the sellers on Monday. How else can I stand out and separate myself from those like a preferred listing agent to not get sunk by this, last minute discount that they're getting on a preferred agent?
Ask them what's most important to them. What's most important to you? Is it this tiny, itsy bitsy, teensy weensy little tiny bit of money that all of a sudden is blown out of proportion from a molehill into a mountain because they're getting a discount? Fuck them, first off. Discount brokers can suck it. Because, you ask them what they want. Is it the money? Is it the time? What is more important to them, or is it the quality of experience? Now, anyone who's going to be willing to give away their money right up front cannot be trusted to be arguing for your money on the back end because they already cut their own throat on their own commission right out of the gate. So if you can have a compelling reason of why you're worth it, so you need to go bring more value than they see as the discount from the other side. Now that means writing everything out crystal clear, going above and beyond, really maybe do a I've heard of like the 24-hour listing. When you say, look, I'll list your home for 24 hours. If you're not 100% pleased by the end of 24 hours, you can cancel the listing. And that's when you just throw everything at the barn wall and then some. So they're so blown away. That tiny little, dismal discount that's being offered. They're like, that is all you're going to give me when I get all of this?
Yeah.
Fuck you, dude.
Yeah, it really is. It really is a value problem, and this is why I'm such a huge fan of things like pre-listing packets for before you even go into a listing presentation. So that would have prevented questions like this from coming up, because what they're really saying is you are the same as X, and so what are you going to do to match the commission drop that I'm getting from X? Right? Mm-hmm. They should never think, the thought should never occur to them, you are the same as X. You are the same as random preferred agent who I haven't even met yet. So that's your problem for not bringing enough value and bringing it in a way that they understand and that slaps them in the face with value. That's why I like the idea of pre-listing packets, shock and awe packages. Mike LaFito's got a great one where he sends out like a booklet to them that's got like his book on how to sell your home for the highest, high dollar in the shortest amount of time with the least amount of hassle, just stuff like that. It doesn't have to be a book, but whatever you put together, even if like Aaron Wittenstein like has a custom designed, it's just a PDF that he sends out, or he can print it out and have it hand delivered, either way. But he has a pre-listing packet that has his marketing laid out with examples. He also has like a success portfolio, which is like a printed out thing of client testimonials and case studies of homes he's sold in the past and how, and like this home was on the market for 1,037 days. We got it turned around in 29 days. Just all that kind of stuff. I mean, Greg, you've got which I'm assuming you're reaching for your brochure because I can see you milling around back there.
Yes.
This is yours.
This is my booklet, guys. I had this done, and I can get you guys a designer of this, but it's on thick cardstock, has all the information about our team with little bios, has some testimonials. It goes in here, and we have a map, which we've sold. If you look way deep in there, there's lots of numbers because we couldn't zoom in far enough. We have 2 pages of old sold addresses. We show that we're techie, but it's big buttons and colors, guys. And you can hear that? I mean, it's not like limp paper. It's a thick cardstock, which makes a good loud thump when it hits the coffee table, which is exactly what you want to do. You want to make sure that these people know that you know what you're doing. And there's so many checklists. There's so many. Go into Pinterest and just Google or just search like pre-listing packages or checklists, real estate pre-listing checklists, or come up with a bunch of these, print them out, take the parts you like, and make a 200-point checklist. Do whatever you want. Make it a big ass thing. The more value perceived, the more value given in the seller's mind. Mm-hmm. And that is what you really need to do. But we never finished the 24-hour listing. Because as soon as you do the 24-hour listing and you only waste 24 hours, if you do everything we just talked about in those 24 hours, you're not going to get fired. Then you just extend out the listing contract and you go from there. But you showed them that you're willing to put your money where your mouth is. So that discount broker comes sniffing around again. You can kick him like the dog that he is, and tell him to beat it and get off your porch, because this is your turf.
Yeah.
And so many people get afraid of doing that. They don't want to.
If I was going to do like a 1-day listing or let's say like a weekend listing or something like that, I would run the biggest, baddest open house you could ever possibly run. I'd hit 100, 200 doors personally, knocking, calling, Facebook ads, the whole 9 yards, and just blow it out. Have signs everywhere. Somebody did that. Who was telling me they did that? Somebody at the LA event said they did that. They essentially followed the same formula that Dave Pinnell did. If you go back and watch his episode on open houses, they essentially did the same thing. They put 70 people through an open house. Can you imagine taking a listing for 3 days and you put 70 people through an open house? Those sellers, if they don't have an offer on the spot from that weekend, they'll fall all over themselves trying to sign your listing agreement on you just hold it up and I'm just going to put it on my back. Just sign right there. You don't need a table. Just hold it up to your back and have them sign it.
Exactly. And so yeah, guys, we are going to travel. We don't know what cities we're going to be going to, but we are going to both East Coast and we're going to do West Coast. We may do a Texas gig as well. So we are going to come around the country. We aren't going to just do it in Southern California. We are going to travel to our main hub. So I think Florida, New York, NorCal, SoCal, and maybe if we do a fifth one, it'll be somewhere in Texas, but we will hit all sides because we do know that not everybody has the time to travel. We want to come as close to as we can to you, but we will announce the dates in several months out. So we're finalizing our September dates now, and you guys will definitely know who and what we are going to be working with. But I mean, I can't tell you the names of these people that we're working with to be A-list, speakers. Yeah. But I'll tell you one thing. When you guys hear these names, you're going to shit your pantalones.
That's right. All right, we've got a few minutes left, so I wanted to cover this one question from earlier in the show. Matthew Lally said he's got his first FSBO appointment tomorrow. Any tips? I'm trying to overcome them being listed $15,000 over. Greg, how would you handle that situation?
So he's going on. It's his first listing appointment, right?
First FSBO listing appointment.
First FSBO. And they're listed then, so they price it at $15,000 over, and we need to get them to be our listing, right? That's what we're looking to do.
No, okay. we would definitely like them to just kick rocks, and we don't want their listing.
Oh, no, yes, because they are dirty scoundrels.
That's right. How dare they list their home on the market without us?
Boo! Yes. So what you would want to do is you want to come in there and be always in a state of curiosity. Like I always tell you guys, ask questions, ask questions, ask questions, ask questions. He or she who asks questions controls the conversation flow. That way you can dictate where this thing goes from the very onset of your communication with them in person at that meeting. Identify their pain points. Identify their wants and dreams. So, is there a pain point in not selling? Is there a pain point not selling for? That's why are they over the market price by $15,000 because they have to be over by $15,000?
Right.
Understand their timelines. When do they want to go? Why are they not using an agent? Let them know that with an agent, they generally, on national averages, sell for $40,000 over the price of just doing it on their own. But once you get in there and you understand, you really go 3 to 5 deep. I've talked about this a lot on the show, but you get in there, Matt and Julie and his 3 obese little wood denting, insulin sucking babies, would say, well, we couldn't get into a property. We haven't been able to sell the property because it's $15,000 over. Okay. Well, why'd you price it? You always say, like, help me understand why you priced it at this price, and help me understand what the reaction has been from the marketplace. You know the answers. On the second side, you just don't know the answers on the first side of why they price it there. And then whatever their answer is, go 3 to 5 questions deeper so you can truly understand and get down to the core reason of why they price it there. Once you understand the core, now you can go after the real problem with tactical, procedures and make sure that they get where they want to go. It might be they just can't get it, and they need to just sit and wait for the market to appreciate more. It might be to the fact that they are afraid of real estate agents because they had a horrible experience the last time around, and they just threw something at the wall to see if it was going to stick, and it didn't stick, and now they're kind of lost on what the value is. But everything is going to vet itself out in that conversation if you consistently ask more and more and deeper questions. And it might feel awkward when you first start doing it, but it actually really is it's, I don't know, it's like therapeutic, because if they can really get it out, it's like flushing out a wound. If you got a deep wound and you didn't clean it, it's getting infected, it's going to get worse and worse and worse. That's like whatever stress or tension that they're holding inside of them is getting worse and worse and worse over time. But if you can ask the right questions and cleanse it and then help heal it, aka help them sell the house for as much as humanly possible, and set realistic expectations for them, that's the biggest value. That's how you can truly get people to get on board with you. Now, if they don't like you on the very onset of that, after that first meeting, it's okay. At least you spoke truth. And that's where a lot of people, trip up, and they try to be all salesy and tactical and this, that, and another thing, and fancy dancy words and blah, 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 blah. Dude, just speak truth. People will recognize that. And
and there's something I wanted to point out too, which is that there is the, I guess in the real estate community, we have the belief that the highest and best outcome of a listing is you sell for the highest price in the shortest amount of time with the least amount of hassle. We have to recognize that sellers don't know what we know. They don't know that 80 or 90% of the time your first offer is your best offer. They don't understand and take into account that once a listing has been on the market for 2.5 to 3 weeks, buyers are already starting to ask, what's wrong with it? Why hasn't somebody bought it? Why is it not already under contract? So they don't know this stuff, and they're not coming from the same frame of reference that we do. So we're assuming way too much, I think, sometimes when we assume that they want to sell it in the shortest amount of time with the least amount of hassle. Because a lot of people, like you mentioned, maybe a FSBO is a great example, Greg. Are they taking into account all the hassle that goes into it? No, because they don't know. But are they intelligently going into it knowing that they're taking on more work onto themselves?
Hey, Jason, I'm doing my podcast. I will be right back with you.
Thanks, Greg. We appreciate you sharing that with everyone.
I didn't. I thought I paused that.
No, you did not. But thank you for shitting all over my point. I appreciate it.
I'm sorry, dude. He's a buyer's agent that's been blowing me up on an offer he wants to put in.
Thanks. Oh my God, that's funny. All right, so Greg would like us to stop talking and listen to him.
I'm sorry, Matt. You were doing such an eloquent job. My apologies.
Thank you. Yes, I just think we need going 3 deep is very important. That's all. That's all I have to say. Go 3 deep, because you never know what the seller's actually thinking. Or when they're paying attention, which Greg clearly was not at that point.
No, I wasn't, because I was called doing real estate. I'm always on, Matt.
That's right.
Never turn it off.
That's right. All right. How about we talk about one last question?
One more. Okay, one more.
All right. So this question, and I'm going to screw up the name because it's spelled D-I-V-J-O-T. Divjot Moore or Divjot? I don't know. Says, hello, friends. I have a client who's very tough. I sold his property recently, but for less than what he wanted. Now he's my buyer, and he does not want to pay the market value. Here, the market is really hot, and properties are selling for way over asking, and lowballing really doesn't work. How do I convince him that the property is worth probably not even its list price, but more when they're out looking at homes, when he just had to sell his home for less than what he wanted?
So he's butthurt, and he wants
exactly.
He wants vengeance, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Sounds like it.
A scorned buyer.
That's right.
So you have to have an honest conversation with them. Why don't you do the pullback method right off the bat and be like, you know what, buyer, maybe this just isn't the right time for you to buy. Why don't we get a nice rental for you for about 12 months, let you wait it out, and then let's see what the market vets itself out. Maybe the price will start correcting itself and get down to a price that you are willing to pay. How's that sound? All of a sudden he's like, no, I want to buy now. Okay, let's do that then. But you have to understand the way the market is right now. Now, there are I guarantee you there were specific reasons that his home didn't sell for what he wanted. Now, what he wanted and what the market will give him, two totally different things. Yep. Last year, we sold a home in a city called Lafayette. But Lafayette's a really prestigious neighborhood, right? But it literally, like one little finger, and then we were on that street. That was that one street. That Lafayette home went to Pleasant Hill schools. Now, it wasn't like you needed a gun and a dog and like a bodyguards to go to Pleasant Hill. My sister and brother-in-law and their 4 kids live there. It's a great city. But the people who live in Lafayette want to have Lafayette schools. It's more of a, bragging rights. Dude, that home sold for about $100,000 under what they wanted it to sell for. It also been a rental for 5+ years and was beat to snot, and we had to try to get it upgraded, but they didn't want to spend the money to get it upgraded. Dude, they walked away pissed at us, but they were pissed at us because they knew they bought a home in Lafayette at a discounted price, but it was in Pleasant Hill schools. Every home on that block took months to sell and never sold for as much as the seller wanted it to, because he had the Lafayette address but the Pleasant Hill school. So that could be taking place with that seller, now buyer. And he's now just jaded. He's just ticked off and wants to just stick it to the first seller he can possibly get to, because he felt that he got taken advantage of.
Yeah.
Which, when in reality, he made the conscious choice originally to buy that home, knowing that most likely there were these 1, 2, 3, whatever issues, with the property. So help him understand that, in a very nice way, he did this to himself. You didn't do it, unless you really suck. But you don't. You're watching our show. Of course you don't. But I mean, realistically, tell him to go rent for a little while, and he needs to calm down.
Yeah, that's a great way to do it. I like the pullback method. It's a great way of showing that. I mean, if you do it genuinely, not in a snarky way, if you do that, you're gonna lose it. But if you do it in a genuine way, where you come across hopefully genuinely concerned about what's best for his interest, then you will set yourself up as much more of the consultative real estate, like a real estate consultant and not a real estate salesperson, and you'll be much more trustworthy, and hopefully he'll kind of get the message that, hey, it's, if I really want the house, like, I got to go out and I got to compete. I got to beat the other buyers to it. I have to make a more attractive offer. And it's not my right to go out there and try to stick it to some other homeowner because I felt like I had to sell my home for less than I wanted.
Yeah, I mean, look at why he was selling it. It could be schools, it could be condition, it could be whatever reason. He no longer wanted it. Thank God someone did come in and buy it. But I mean, have that script, Mr. Buyer. Do you want to try to buy this home, or do you just want to go buy the damn thing? And put it in his court. And I had a buyer recently that the home was priced at a certain price. They wanted to offer $50,000 below market, and throw in a couple other contingencies. I'm like, guys, I don't think this is going to work. Yeah. I talked to the listing agent. She's like, well, Greg, it has to be at or around this price. And it was about $30,000 to $50,000 over the listing price.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, guys, this is just not going to work. And they're like, well, let's just try it. How do you know? I'm like, well, because you have 4 other offers all over asking. That's how I know it's not going to work.
Yeah.
And yeah, it comes down to the buyer, it comes down to the market conditions, it comes down to the mindset, it comes down to the drive, it comes down to a lot of things. But if you're going to harness, figure out what the drive is and the motivation, and then go after their mindset and get their brains wrapped around the reality of what they need to do to buy that property in today's market, then you're over 50% there. Now you just need to go hit the bushes and beat it up out there and see what you can find.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, so there's a great strategy, guys. Go listen to the Luxury Listing Podcast with Kevin Dutois, and I'd like to get him onto our show at some point in the near future, but he talks about a strategy that he uses called triple ending. Go listen to that. So if you have a buyer, you have a magic ticket to more listings, essentially, especially in a tight market like this, where, and I don't want to give away the secret sauce, but just go listen to that. It's the Luxury Listing Specialist with Mike LaFido. He's a client of mine. We did an episode with Kevin Dutois on how to triple end deals. He used this strategy in like Newport Beach with luxury listings. So this is not something that, this is something that applies to any market really. But the higher end, the price point, the more it's worth it for you to get out there and find that next property for that buyer and find something that's off market that you can turn into a pocket listing and match them up with your buyer. So this is a great opportunity to get out there and really bring value, essentially give them something they can't get on Zillow or on the MLS or through anything by you finding their next home in a creative way. So guys, go check that out. Let's send this puppy home. Okay. Guys, go to getnowbusiness.com, check out the latest class. The next starting date is July 10th. That is the second Monday in July, because Greg, what will you be doing on the first Monday in July? Thank you very much.
Drinking booze and sitting by a pool, making poor decisions and getting sunburned like every good red-blooded American male. Johnson?
That's right. Oh, man. We were going to start on July 3rd, everybody, but no, Greg is taking a me day. He's going to go to a spa. I think he's going to go to a spa. There's cucumbers and face wash involved or something like that. There's white towels and like misting spray, and like he's probably going to be at a day spa. So guys, we can't start on the 3rd. We have to start on the 10th because Greg will be busy on the 3rd. So guys, go check that out. It's getnowbusiness.com. Greg, why should people go there, and what's the course all about, if in case they missed it?
Well, listen up, peoples. This is going to be awesome. It is going to, guys, get down business. We want to give something back to you guys. Where there's no cold calling, no door knocking, nothing like that. It's just a way that you're going to be able to tap into your business. Matt and I are going to retool it so that we're going to even bring more value than they already has chuck full of. But we're going to really, put some more meat on it and really make it more attractive to everyone. We're not going to make you guys do role playing together or with us. We're going to do it. Matt and I are going to role play together, show you guys tonality and scripting so that you guys can be on point when you hit the market and the ground running, and then you can go rewatch it because we record every one of them for you, so that you guys can replay it as much as you want and get the knowledge of the scripts. And so we do it because we know a lot of you guys are struggling a little bit financially. It might be a little bit of a burden, as I would say, Matt, there is an opportunity for an influx in cash. If you may be down on cash, there's the possibility for the influx in cash. So,
influx of cash are good.
Influx of cash is a wonderful thing. But yeah, guys, we're gonna be doing that. It's $297 one time. Get 4 weeks with us, and it's a lot of fun. If you guys, anyone who's done the class, if you guys want to raise your hands in the feed, and whoever is interested in it, guys, reach out to them. You'll see what we do with that course, and we have, I think, 10 other courses we have on the books. Just dropped my yellow pad. That we're going to be doing for you guys.
Oh, my God.
Oh, a mess.
Of course you would.
Look at this, just disaster over here.
Oh, my God.
Anyways, but we love you guys. We do it because we love you. We want to see you guys succeed. We want to show you that all the expensive coaching that I have paid for, my team has paid for, we're going to give it to you guys for nearly free. We are going to ask a few times for you guys to buy products so that we can, Mac and Fia's little wood denting, insulin sucking, obese little babies.
Oh yeah, man, they got a lot to eat. I got a bag of forklifts into my place, man. When Amazon Fresh shows up, good Lord, they got to bring the 24-footer,
the dump truck.
That's right.
All right, back it up, Paul.
That's right. I got 3 more. I got 3 like side by side chef-sized fridges in the garage just for all that stuff.
All Twinkies.
That's right.
And guys, like it, share it, follow us, do all of it, guys. Watch my 4:30 show. Matt, are you still with me? Oh, Matt went all frozen face and shit. Hello? All right. Anyways, I think Matt's going to be back here. Anyways, guys, we're out of here. Till then, peace out, ninjas. We go.
Later, guys.